started bringing this energy of like, oh yeah, like we're just gonna be ourselves and like leave what everyone thinks, you know, like, and they start being like really like powerful and just like, oh, and like that, and and it was just really cool.
I thought it was incredible the way that Hofesh Shechter creates structures and then collapses them, and then everything just goes around, and then they form again and they go again, and it just like seamlessly goes through, and it's just beautiful.
Studying dance myself, like realizing how like physically challenging that is and how hard that must be to do on stage, I feel like gave me like more of an in-depth of like, whoa, like how like kind of at the top of their game they really are.
From England with Love is, for me, is a sort of a contemplation on ideas and energies of England. You know, probably through my eyes after living in England, in the UK for about 20 years or so. And yeah, the different kind of things that come up, the different energies, the different ideas, the different emotions that relate to me, to Englishness, that's what's coming to the surface with this work. I always try to think for Shechter II about which piece we can do that can still resonate and that still has legs in how it can communicate and interact with audiences. I think there is still a lot of very interesting energies and emotions to digest together, both with the dancers. You know, I think there is something about working with younger people on this piece that is reflecting on England and the energies that exist here.
So first of all, Steph, just want to say thank you for working with us over the course of this year with our Shechter II dancers. We're all really excited about this collaboration. And I wonder if just to start, you could talk a little bit about what dance science actually is.
So a lot of people will be familiar with what sports science is, and dance science does share a lot of similarities to that topic. So within dance science, it will look at things within the field of psychology, within physiology, injury prevention, biomechanics, nutrition, so very similar topics that are already existing within sports science, but really tailoring it to a dance population. The goal is most certainly to try and support dancers with finding greater performance capacity, as well as looking to reduce the risk of injury. But it isn't all just dance outcome related. It's also looking at how we can use these concepts to support the dancer who is the person as well. So how we can use these aspects to genuinely, authentically support them with their well-being so that they can have a happy and a healthy career.
What are some of the sort of positive outcomes you think we might see for these Shechter II dancers at the end of this year, having had sort of a year of interaction and support from you?
A lot of the impact is through education, through being able to give them information and tools like we've spoken about to play around with in this year that they have with you. So the educational workshops that we have together are designed around being a touring dance artist. We've kind of took the time to understand what their questions are, what their interests are, and really building that into an experience that will feel really tailored and meaningful to them, as well as preparing them as much as possible for this touring experience. So the workshops themselves will look at physical and psychological topics. So we're trying to touch on lots of different areas from lots of different angles. So it's a lot of information, but they have this whole year to really play around with it, to discuss it together, to explore it in practice. And the exciting thing is that because they're such an international cohort, that they bring such a rich variety of experiences as well, that are really useful to kind of bring to this conversation about how we apply dance science into practice.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It was like really amazing. Literally, I was speechless. The visuals and like the intention of movement was like stunning. I loved it. It was it was really nice.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm speechless.
I literally couldn't talk. Like people were asking me like, how did you find it? And I was like,
It's just like, it's so raw and like, it's just insane.
it was beautiful.
It was completely amazing, inspiring.
I loved it. I'm a huge fan of Schechter's. I always have been. I saw it at the South Bank Centre when it first opened, so this is my second time seeing it. I love the intimacy of the show here. I just think everything, the lighting, the music, the score, the way they all work together, it's tremendous. Tremendous.
I've always been very fond of Hofesh's work, and I know it happens every other year, Shechter II. So I thought it was my last year to apply, but then it turns out it wasn't. So I kind of just applied, hoping to get the audition. Ended up being very lucky and grateful.
I think because I was in contact with other people who was in the company or also did the program, like Adam. And I did a project with him and talked a lot with him about the company, as well with Miguel. And when the auditions were out, they really encouraged me to apply for it because they thought it would be a really nice experience for me to develop as a dancer, to gain more experience and to get in touch with other like dancers.
When I saw Clowns, like years ago, and it was the first time that I saw one of his pieces, and I immediately got sucked into the piece, and I felt so alive and so many emotions that I've never felt after seeing a performance. And yeah, I was really struck by it, and I was like, wow, if I ever get the chance to work with him, I would love to. So it was really a dream. Yeah.
I remember when I first saw Hofesh's show, I'd never heard of him or his work before, and it was so blown away by it. And it was in my first year of school, dance school in the Netherlands, and I remember like feeling like this really exists, like this kind of work exists. And then ever from that moment on, I was like, if I would ever get the chance to like do something like that, that would be the thing for me. So that from that moment on, I just really dreamt of doing it. And then the application came out, and I was almost not going to do it because I felt so far away. And then, yeah, then one thing happened and another thing happened by yet.
You know, as well as what Toon said, is very much, you know, a lot of physical things from being here. A lot of, yeah, gained a lot of physical knowledge, which has been great. But I think for me, I've also learned a lot about how to continue staying invested in one thing as you do it so many times, allowing that to have like a freeing effect within the work and within the performance. So I think I've really learned to, I don't know, access myself as a dancer in a less serious way, which doesn't mean investing less, or doesn't mean like caring less. I think it means the opposite, and caring more about it, so that I can feel free, I can feel at ease going into a show, I can feel like I can bring myself onto the stage, I can feel like I can bring myself into the group and be with the group while performing and while being on stage, which I think has been really, it's been a really joyful experience to kind of learn and take these things on.
Do you know what, like, performing all the time, which I think it's fair to say we do a lot, nearly 100 times this show, it's really informed the way I approach performing to people. So like if before I was very anxious maybe to perform things, but now it's really a part of the practice to like compartmentalize and really just take like an element of the performance to work on. So it's even more like Eloy often says, like it's like research rather than gratifying the audience or showing something to them. It's more of like an internal research for ourselves, but also in between each other, which I can honestly say I didn't have that before.
For me, the changes the most is knowing, realize our body is so important because it's our tool. So how can we keep healthy, how we eat, or how we take care of our body to be as a dancer? I think this is the most what I've done for this year, because we're touring a lot and stressed, so we really need to keep our body in the best place to continue. And when I was young, I'm still young, but when I was younger, it used to be like, I'll just put as much as I can on stage and I'll recover after that. This pushed me to learn how to take care of myself and how important it is, because have healthy body, you enjoy more on stage too.
For me, I think the one element that for sure after this year, it's clear to me that before doing Shechter II, I've never worked for one creator only, as in like dedicated such a long time to one style and one work. And before that, I was wondering, can I actually do it, or is it just like something that I'm like romanticizing, but I don't really know what it feels like? And after this year, I definitely know that I can, and it's just a very exciting thing. Yeah.
I thought it was really special and nostalgic, and I'm lost for words. I don't have words. It was just like really, really special, and yeah, I felt like very in touch with my younger self, which was nice, and kind of confronting in a really interesting way. Yeah.
I've got no idea what it means to be English, but I think that show is full of so many things that are familiar, thought-provoking, and there's just a huge amount that resonates in it. I actually find it quite emotional, but it's poetic, but it's angry, it's unforgiving, but it's also affectionate. I just think it's an incredibly sort of pure outsider's view, which is incredible for something that has absolutely no narrative. But you just kind of find the emotion in it, and it's incredibly well performed, it's beautifully lit, and the music's really evocative. I just think it's terrific.